It's Lisa here with another conversation about light workers. So this is part 4 in the 5-part series. And the first day we talked about light workers who work in the shadows. The second day it was more about the healers and space holders who work with light. Yesterday we talked about, or in part 3 we talked about the system busters, the folks who are out to expose agendas. And today I want to talk about light workers who are like basically communicators on behalf of light. So these are folks who serve as kind of an intermediary in some ways between the divine, or higher vibrational, higher dimensional energies, and us here in 3D. So these folks might be channels, like people who actually channel the words and the wisdom from, like, say, angels or archangels, ascended masters, interdimensional beings, spirit guides, your spirit guide, deceased or departed loved ones. These are folks who have the opportunity to connect in with the spirits that are not in 3D, that are in higher dimensions, and actually bring through wisdom and information from them. So that's one way that people might work in this realm. Another is folks who actually channel like light frequencies through their voice. So light is not just something that we see, like when we look at the sun, we see the light, or when we look at color, we know that it's differentiations of light. But light is energy, just like other things are energy. So sound is energy too, and light and sound actually go hand in hand. So some people actually channel light as sound through their voices and can share that with others to some really interesting outcomes. So there's something called light language, that there are many people who actually connect in and channel this light language that's not words, like we would think about words, but it's sounds that can be very activating or even healing in nature. There are others that channel sounds. Tom Kenyon is actually, one of my favorites. I've gone to several of his workshops out in Seattle, but to where he uses his like nearly 4-octave range voice to channel in sounds from interdimensional beings, from angels, archangels, ascended masters, whales, dolphins sometimes. I mean, it's really fascinating. But the energy that comes through with his vocal transmissions are just absolutely powerful. I mean, really, really intensely powerful. And they can be incredibly healing as well. So when I studied sound healing, for example, in that particular class, we were using crystal bowls and like Tibetan singing bowls and things like that, because sound itself can have and carry very activating and healing energies. But there were some in the class too that when we added our voice to the sounds, when we actually used our voice as an instrument, just like a crystal bowl or something along those lines, it like took everything up to even another level, which was really powerful and kind of fascinating to experience and to see. A lot of the stuff might not be stuff that makes sense to the logical 3D mind, to our logical brain. And this is where we kind of have to step outside of what does our brain think we need to prove, and step into what does our spirit and our heart and our soul feel is truth. So that is a big distinction, to be able to recognize the difference there and to be willing to kind of lean into that difference is really important. There are others of us too who channel information, like through our writing or through speaking, or whatever. We actually, people who will make a conscious choice, to connect in with divine beings and basically see what they have to say. And they will bring through information that might be outside the scope or the realm of what our 3D brains tell us is possible, what, science manuals and other things might say. But it's higher dimensional information. And so that can be fascinating. Any of us, I think that any of us actually have this capacity if we choose to. When we sit, like, I journal a lot. And one of the things when I journal is, some people use their journal just to dump all their thoughts and feelings and stuff out on paper, which is cool. That can be a very helpful tool. What I do is actually try to turn my brain off for a little bit, like quiet the critic inside my head, open up my heart, make an intentional decision to connect with the divine and see what kind of insight direction it has to offer. I might ask specific questions. I might get specific requests, and so that's kind of how that relationship has worked out for me and has been incredibly rewarding. So some people, communicate with the divine in that way. Others might get what they call downloads, where it's like all this poof, just massive dumps of information come to them. They have no idea how they know what they now know. They have no idea how the information got there. It just kind of came into their mind and they're not sure how. And this is actually one way in which the spirit world or, the higher dimensional energy can communicate with us as well. I've had that experience happen. It was kind of cool. And there was a part of me, I'll admit, that was a little freaked out by it at the same time, like a decade and a half ago when it happened the first time. I was like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? And it was a little disconcerting. And, some people, when they start opening up to their ability to work with light, to work with wisdom, to work with insight in this way, they can question themselves. They can question their own sanity. Sometimes it's a matter of, where's this coming from? Is it me? Is it in my own head? Is this my ego talking? Is this, have I lost my mind? I mean, there could be all these kinds of conversations. But the more you work with it and more you lean into it, and recognize what higher frequency energy feels like to connect with and start trusting that. And if there's encouragement or insight, follow it and see what happens. And if it turns out, positively, trusting that even more. One of the things that I found well, first of all, discernment is always critical, always critical. There's all kinds of spirit energy out there, right? There's light and then there's not light. and light workers, I would hope, intentionally work to connect with the light instead of that which is not light. So intentionally work to connect with energies that resonate with frequencies of like love and gratitude and appreciation and upliftment, that's expansive and, compassion driven and striving toward unity and empowerment, rather than the opposite of all of that stuff. So if you're ever communicating with spirit, or you feel like something is trying to communicate with you, if it feels uplifting, if the messages are positive and encouraging and supportive and empowering, and if there's never a you must do this or you are wrong if you do that, or any of that kind of judgment laden approach that would seem to violate your free will, if that's the case, kick them out. You get to be the authority in what you communicate with and what you allow in your energy space. So if there's energy trying to communicate with you, spirits trying to communicate with you that are anything other than loving, uplifting, encouraging, supportive, empowering, you have the sovereign authority to tell them to get the hell out. And they're supposed to listen. Now, part of the deal with, why are we even needed, right? As humans, why would spirit even mess around and waste its time communicating with our little 3D brains that, God knows we probably get, I hope we get it right more often than not. But the truth is, Earth is a free will planet. If there are any other nerds out there who like Star Trek, okay, so think the prime directive in Star Trek, the idea that the Federation was not supposed to interfere with the free will or interfere with other planets or their understanding of their own reality and truth without, certain stipulations. Anyway, it's kind of like that. And it's almost like like higher dimensional beings need people who are in 3D, who are willing and of their own free will choose to connect and to communicate with them so that they can share and impart wisdom to and through us for the benefit of humankind, for the benefit of like our own conscious evolution, for the benefit of the planet. And so that's why there are, there are light workers who have been born now to basically serve in that role, to be a conduit and a conscious connector with that higher dimensional energy, with those angels and archangels and other ascended masters that would like to communicate through us with humanity in such a way that can be of a benefit. So this is an important role to serve in. Discernment is always important, both discernment for the person who might be, channeling information or being a conduit or communicator of light information, but also for the receiver. Just because somebody says that they're, connected with spirit and channeling your, dead grandmother or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean they're coming at it from a place of light. So it's super important if you're going to, talking with mediums or other people who, say they channel the spirit world, to make sure that you're checking in with your own discernment, you're checking in with your gut. Does what they're saying sit right? Does it feel right? Don't necessarily take things at face value. Instead, process it through your own, mind, heart, body, to make sure that it fits for you. But this kind of light worker, it's an important role. This is one that I've stepped more into, and have really enjoyed the process of doing it. In fact, these videos encouraged by spirit. Hey, we would love for you to talk about light workers and what they're all about. I'm like, hey, I could do that. The light activation guided meditation 2-part series that I'm running next Monday and the following Monday, also one of those things guided and encouraged by spirit. So, and that'll be an opportunity where the information that comes through will be information from, the spirit world, from the light, from, a particular ascended master and group of interdimensional beings that have requested the conversation. And so if you'd like to experience that or see what it's all about for yourself, you can register to participate. Like I said, it's totally free. It's going to be 30 minutes over Zoom. And the real purpose is to have a guided meditation where folks together are basically focusing their love, right? Focusing their inner light to the benefit of humanity and the planet, with the recognition that, just like we've heard about prayer, when 2 or more are gathered, it's even that much more powerful, right? The same concept applies. So if you're interested in seeing what the idea of light worker from a communicator, like light communicator perspective, is all about, register, come join me the next 2 Mondays, and I think you'll have some fun, and I can almost guarantee you will leave feeling uplifted and lighter and more energized by the end of the conversation than you did at the beginning. So that's kind of an extra added bonus. Anyway, thank you for watching these. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about a whole nother kind of light worker, and I hope you'll join me for that as well. Talk to you soon.